back, everybody. So today we're going to have the first tasting of my Warrior Centennial beer using Maris Otter. Now, I've done Warrior with Centennial with 2-row, Warrior Citra with 2-row, and now Warrior Centennial with Maris Otter. Why are we doing this? Just to find out what we like. Now, usually what I like to do is do all of them, a separate review for each one, then come back and do like a full side-by-side of each one. But on this one, I didn't bottle it. I let it sit longer just to see what would happen. So this was brewed on 11/30/19 and it was bottled on 12/14/19. So there, yeah, that's right. So this one. Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to have the first tasting of my Warrior Centennial using Maris Otter. Now, in this series, I've done Warrior with Centennial with 2-row, Warrior Citra 2-row, and now Warrior Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to have the first tasting of my Warrior Centennial with Maris Otter malt. Now, in this series, we've done Warrior Centennial 2-row, Warrior Citra 2-row, and now this one. I do have a nugget version. Hopefully that one's good. Usually I like to do them side by side and do them all, but in this case I had to brew these a little bit later, so it wasn't ready to review when I did the other one. So next month we'll be able to do them all. So this is a small batch, 1.25 gallons going into the carboy, 2 pounds 8 ounces of Maris Otter, 1 hour boil, 0.15 ounces of Warrior at 60, 0.25 ounces of Centennial at 10, 0.25 ounces of Centennial at 5, 0.25 ounces of Centennial 3 days into dry hopping. Original gravity was 17 bricks. Finished at 7 bricks. That is using a refractometer, so you do have to do an equation to get it. So this one was bottled on 12/14, 8.6% ABV. Good hiss, good smoke. Now, if you've been following me, I think it was the Nugget Centennial version was not good. So it's had me worried that some of these caps are bad, and I'm waiting for one of them to be bad. Now, this one is using 8 of the small pearl tablets, and I can see the bubbles on here already. Also, in all this experimenting, we are also experimenting with carbonation drops. So a lot of mine, I have used 6 of them. Usually I use 4 per 12 ounces. And so these are 22-ounce bottles. So I would use 6. Where if it was 24, then I would use 8. But I just wanted to see if we could get ahead. And this has been bottled almost 2 months. This is February 8th, so next week would be 2 months. So we're 7 weeks, if you want to say that. But if we look at this nice head, off-white colored head, I do have some hop particles, hop leaves in there, and that is due to me bottling this directly out of the fermenter. But yes, at least we have a head, so kind of we'll mark this down. Using more carbonation tablets is going to give us a better head, but what's that going to do at month 3? Are we going to have some geysers, or is it going to foam over like some of our other ones have done? We'll have to see. Let's look at the color of this. Yeah, or orange golden in color. I do have particles floating in there, lots of bubbles, hazy. I would think Maris Otter has a little bit more protein than 2-row, so we're going to have a little bit of haziness. Maybe at month 3 or tasting 3, some of that protein will fall out because there's nothing to keep it suspended. But yeah, good color, hazy. I can make the outline of the box, but that's about it. And like I said, I've got some hop leaves floating in there. Let's go ahead and smell. Getting a little bit of sweetness, maybe a touch of pine from the Warrior, and a little bit of citrus. That pine could be some bitterness, as the Centennial could come off as a grapefruit citrus. So maybe it's kind of a bitterness, but that sweet malt is what I pick the most up of. Yeah, maybe some citrus pine underneath that, and that's about it. I'm really not getting toasted bread from it, but I am getting that sweet malt. We'll have to see if the nougat version has the same, and then we might be able to say, okay, that sweet malt is the Maris Otter. But usually, if I get toasted bread, or I get toasted bread from Maris Otter, and because that's the only malt in here, I'm not getting it. That's why I'm saying it. Let's go ahead and taste. More like a sweet bread Maris Otter. Maybe a little too much sweet bread. I did not, again, I'll go back to this. I wish Beersmith would put in the notes all these dang notes that they have in here. They can't put the ABV that they think it'll come out, or the IBUs. This taste, just because of that sweet bready malt that I'm getting, it tastes like this should be around 10%. Like, it left way too many sugars behind, and that's that big sweet malt that I'm getting. It's got a good grapefruit bitterness. There is some citrus, so grapefruit citrus bitterness in there after that sweet malt. It drinks more like a double should, like a high double, like a 10, 11% double IPA should taste like. That sweet malt. There is a little bit more breadiness than you would usually get in a double IPA, but then it's got that grapefruit citrus with some bitterness in back. Very smooth. This is something I couldn't drink a lot of. That sweet malt is just way too much, at least for me. Like, I just wonder, because I'm only using USO5. We've seen higher ABVs, but this would benefit from a higher tolerance yeast that could just clean this beer up. Yeah, to me, there is way too much sweet malt. Um, I might have to brew the same thing with only 2 pounds and just see how it comes out. I was not expecting it to taste like this. It's pretty balanced though. I like how balanced it is, except for that malt, that sweet malt note. It's got a good grapefruit citrus. I think the bitterness rounds it out. It could be a little bit higher. Aftertaste, you do get bitterness, toasted bread, sweet malt in there. But yeah, for the most part, I think this is good. Just that sweetness needs to get out of there. So we'll see how the nougat is next. But yeah, so far solid beer. Just cut back on the sweetness a little bit. So if you like this video, check some more reviews out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.